Morning, Jeff.
Morning, Jeff. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Kind of cool talking about the property a little bit ahead of time and get a little bit of a jump start, but man, you guys have some good things that you can do. We come out here and we talk about whitetail, but really what you do down here and some of the improvements you can make, and we're going to recommend. There's a lot of timbering to be done, maybe some switchgrass edging, but it's almost like sometimes you put on a target, you put whitetail in the middle, you hit that, and you encompass a lot of other wildlife too. So I love water holes because, believe it or not, they're not like a summer thing. You'd think they're deer thirstier when it's hot, but they get all their moisture requirements met by the green vegetation, the alfalfa, the soybeans around, so they really start hitting them the end of October, November, December, which, you know, is perfect timing for the hunt. But one of the things that I want to look at hard today is you have a 4-acre field down here at the farmers.
Yep.
Especially for your south half of the property, to have a food source like that that you can rely on during the hunting season is going to be critical. And I know we talked about a lot of the timber harvest that hasn't been touched for 20 years?
At least,
somewhere around there, 25.
Yeah, it's time. It's time to start looking into that.
Yeah, and the cool thing is, like, I think you talked about you wanted some things done for the cabin here.
Yeah.
So getting some of the timber out might help pay for some bulldozer work, some of the habitat improvements. I have a pretty good feel for your land and what's going on, some of the potential. And I think you'd said that you're mostly gun or bow?
Early the bow season up until kind of the big hurrahs, the Wisconsin 9-day gun season. That's when we get the whole family. Yeah, have family in the cabin, and but it's kind of the lead up, the early season through the rut, and then culminating in the 9-day gun.
I was gonna say with the wind thing, there's a lot more attention being paid to hunting the wind and wind direction during that bow season. And all goes out the window during gun season.
Yeah.
But I think we can set it up for gun season even a little bit better too. I think the potential is probably higher than you guys even realize.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, I'm serious. Someone asked me, they said, do you think you have higher expectations for your clients, or do your clients have higher expectations? And I believe that I have higher expectations because you guys probably haven't experienced that, where you see that consistency. What do you guys think?
Fun part of the process.
Yeah.
I think put boots on the ground and go check it out.
Yeah.
I really like this spot right here because when we were up on top, then what do you think that's 200 yards?
About that, yeah.
Maybe
30, 40.
250 at the most. What I like about that is there's an area for a little bit larger food up there, and then you can widen it out up here, so it's almost like that barbell effect.
Yeah, kind of a lobe on either side, and a narrower connection spot in the middle.
Yeah, and what's nice is there's almost like a hog's back that up there, then just perfect spot for a stand location. And then up high here, we'll figure it out because, and that'd be a great spot for mock scrape, but it might be that you have a water hole on this end and a water hole on that end too, as it relates. And we can talk about the wind, because with this point coming down, you get really good wind going side to side. And then up top, you have really good wind. And so on this inside bowl where the cabin's at, I would do less timbering here. You don't have deer specific food down at the bottom, so less likely that they're in here, and that gives you really good access to come right. If you guys don't feel you're okay with walking straight up, kind of,
to get in. Walking.
So the worst thing to do is, just add more food to the bottom down there. You want to make it so there's fewer deer down the bottom. So stand right there, stand down here, and then stand in the middle. So a system like this would create 3 stands, and then we'd have a mock scrape at every stand location.
All right, let's drive back up the ridge and we'll check out that opening, and we can maybe talk about some of the timber harvest in that area.
That sounds good.
Perfect.
Great.
So this is an area that, it could be a part of that food plot system, but I wouldn't cut these oaks down.
Yeah.
Just leave them
you'd
right.
be able to plant right underneath them.
Even if it stopped and it was a little bit, so you have this break, but this is just a unique spot right here where we don't have this in the rest of the area. So on this entire side, that's all bedding all the time. And what's nice, you have a bunch of aspen mixed in. So that's 7,000 shoots per acre when you cut that down. It's really good deer habitat, grouse habitat, regeneration, high stem count. So great cover, great food, and that's what you're doing on this side. And there's a lot along this entire edge.
Yep.
So really high value regeneration. What's nice about when you're up on here, so let's say you have the food plot extending that way for a little bit, and then it's extending down. You're at the highest point right here. So your wind, as long as it's going that way in the morning or that way in the morning and not going right down the line of food, then you're safe. And that way is mostly northerly. That way is mostly southerly. So southerly winds, northerly winds.
You're good either way.
Yeah, you're really good.
Yeah.
So then you start thinking, you know, where's that spot that you want the water hole? And what I like about, you're already in the middle of the food here. So you have food going that way, food going that way. There's acorns here. It's already an attraction. So why add a water hole? They're already coming here.
Right.
But that area over there where you want to catch cruising bucks going back and forth, and then what's nice about that is you blow your scent that way. And so you're sitting here coming into a stand. The food plot goes out in front of you, and you have a water hole, and you're on a saddle that goes back and forth. So it's kind of like an X of traffic, and the deer are hitting the water hole before they hit the green food. Because if they've been bedded dry down below all day, then they can hit the water and then go hit the food. That's one of the first things they like to do in the afternoon is hit water during that time of the season. So, so if that's the case, you know, no water here, mock scrape. I like one scrape at every stand location. No more than that, no less. If you have the habitat to do so. So this will tell you a lot about not only what bucks are in the area, not just giving them a focal point, but when to actually sit down and expect to shoot that buck in this area for the timing for the entire season. Now, Joe, if we go straight that way, we can circle back around, because I really want to get to that food plot down there. So this is kind of cool. Like this is kind of, I know it's completely different because that's a valley plot and it's down in the hollow. This is up top, and I think you're going to love that for the really a wide variety of stand locations.
Kind of to that apple or that maple tree over here is the property line that runs kind of smack through the middle of this. Right through the middle of this field.
This is beautiful.
Yeah.
Now I'm not even thinking food plot. I'm just thinking for you to get by all this instead of coming out and saying, "Here I am."
Yeah,
it's more open. Going low, and then if you have a huge switchgrass border there of 30, 40 feet wide, so you have this hidden food, switchgrass on this side. I'd put a switchgrass border around the entire food plot system in here. And the reason you want that is instead of standing in the food source and looking right up into the woods where it's hardwoods, and deer don't feel comfortable until they're back in that bench system or they're 100 yards off or 150, 200 yards off. Then you put that switchgrass border around, and those deer will feel a lot more comfortable, especially in the form of does and fawns, bedding right behind that switchgrass border. Okay. So they can bed 20 feet away from the field, 50 feet away from the field, and you're going around all of that. But what that does, instead of those does feeling comfortable when they get halfway up the ridge before they bed because it's so open all the way down to the field, now you're pulling those does and fawns that normally felt comfortable up there, you're placing them a lot lower to their food source, and what does that do? It frees up space up there for bucks. They're set up close enough to that food source where it becomes a much more consistent food source, so then you control him. When he's up and over the ridge, then you have zero control except for when the rut takes place and he's cruising through. Then you protect him more, you get a chance to see him a lot more. You can advance younger bucks in the next age class that actually relate to your land. And so that's how you build. That's when I said, like, you know, I have higher expectations than you do, because once you set that system in place, it's just incredible because you have this food source, it's unpressured, you bring does and fawns closer to it, you don't spook them out, they're consistently hitting that food every single day in that location, and then you rim this with bucks around the top side. What do you guys think of that? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
totally.
It does. Cool.
Yeah, you're hunting basically above the does and fawns, and you're well above, right in the buck's wheelhouse and cruising. It's clear in my head, but it really doesn't matter if it's clear in my head. It's got to be clear in your heads and your dad's. So the best thing now is, I know it's about lunchtime. Let's go back and get some lunch, and I'll spend about 45 minutes to an hour and draw up and give you more of a visual on the tablet so that we can actually discuss it. I'm ready to head back. I'm kind of hungry too. Get some food and draw something up and we'll go over it.
Great, sounds good.